to do so themselves. So let's begin the show. Welcome to the world of voice. By the end of the session, I'm hoping you're going to have a really good understanding of, what kind of work is out there and where to start. So, where do you start? I know that's an interesting choice. Most of you assume you want the demos first, and we do need you to have demos. However, that's the last place you start. Same with when you're creating perhaps a character voice. You'll start with the voice first. Well, that's the last place to start. Just like any other profession, you start at the beginning. Start researching your craft. That's one of the best things to do. Start researching and see what it is that you want to be doing in this industry so that you'll know for when you're ready what genres to pursue. So we'll talk to you about where you can begin. We're also going to talk to you about the key ingredients, what it takes to make it. What does it really, truly take? It doesn't take just a great voice. It used to be in yesteryears the James Earl Jones. Oh, thank goodness for him. He's got a great voice, and it used to be, especially guys with those kind of pipes, those are the ones that made it. Now you can make it with any quality of voice, an average quality, even an irritating quality. I'm sure you all have that one or two commercials that's the most irritating voice you've ever heard, but somehow the advertising works, doesn't it? We're going to talk about the various types of work available. There's a lot of different opportunities in voiceover, so we'll talk about what kind of opportunities you can look at, and hopefully you can narrow it down to start with just one. Different reads that you need to know. There's lots of different types of styles in the way that you read a script. I will also refer to it as copy for those of you who don't know. So if I say copy, I'm referring to your script as well. So we'll talk about the different reads. We're going to talk about how to create characters. Now, this is going to be the quickie version of how to create characters. Those of you that took James Alberger's webinar a little while back might have learned a little bit about creating characters somewhat. I'm going to give you also a little taste of how to create them. And again, you'll be surprised to know it's the voice that comes last. Your script checklist. What can you go over on your script to, figure out exactly what you need to be able to go through the script and make it come to life the way you want it to? And that takes a little bit of homework, going through the script, and some industry secrets. I don't know why everybody hoards the secrets, because they're not secrets. We're more than happy to share our wealth of information of what we learned. A lot of people think, oh, aren't you scared of teaching the competition? Well, I'll tell you what. Let me do a comparison for you about voiceover. Let's compare voiceover to the acting or film industry. First of all, the competition's less, believe it or not. You're going against people across the world instead of just in your local cities, and it narrows it down to the ones that are very serious about it. There's only a large few handfuls that consistently strive to do this professionally full-time. Now, of course, there's more than a couple handfuls, but there's just a small group, believe it or not, if you compare that to an acting community. In the acting community, a lot of people, this is my theory. In film and TV, there's not enough work to go around. There's too many actors and not enough work. And believe it or not, all of those actors are replaceable at this point in time. 3D animation is taking over, so even the highest-end actors can be redone in animation style. But who's going to voice it? The human voice has not been replaced. We can't replace emotion. And that's where we're really coming from when we teach you what we're trying to teach you, is how to really connect to that copy and mean what you're saying through emotions. So how can voicing benefit me? Well, first of all, work in your jammies like I do, and I think anyone will be happy. I literally buy nice comfy jammies that I can work in, that are flexible and comfortable, that have no sleeves, because your clothes make noise in the studio. And that will pick up if you're actively getting involved with your characters or your script reads, which you should be. So you don't want to restrict yourself. On top of that, voicing from home, you can't ask for a better opportunity to be able to work at home. I will tell you to learn from my mistakes, though. Know when to turn it off. Know when to shut it down at the end of the day, especially if you have family members and stuff. This can get addicting. Well, it is for me anyway. Make money full or part-time. That's probably what you want to hear the most. If you're getting into this industry just to make money, I really wish you'd find something else. The reason why is this isn't a about a money-making industry. Now, yes, you can make good money in this industry, absolutely, but it takes a long time to get there. So I don't want you to be naive going in thinking that you can just do this overnight. It is one of the only industries in the world, in the acting community, where people think they can be a natural and just come in off the street and do so. That's not true. There's a lot of training involved, just like a gas station attendant. A gas station attendant has to learn the different pumps, the different cashier tills, troubleshooting for cars, customer service. There's so much they have to learn, and every new gas station they attend, they're going to have to learn again. Just like a brain surgeon. And wouldn't you want to know that a brain surgeon consistently took new courses before he starts working on your brain? Now, no, this isn't brain surgery, but the more courses you take, the more workshops you get involved in, and a variety of them. Don't just take mine. Don't just take James Allberger or Pat Fraley or Harlan Hogan. Don't just take the obvious. Take a variety of them so that you have a combination and you can find your own style within all the tips and secrets that we teach you. So making money full or part-time, definitely an advantage, and part-time, especially in the beginning, working your own hours. It's an excellent opportunity that way. Work from your home. You can work from your own home, and that is a bonus, and as I said, know how to turn it off. But I wake up in the morning. Believe it or not, this is my schedule. It's kind of crazy. I wake up with my daughter in the morning at about 7, get her off to school for about 8, go back to bed for a couple hours, and then I get up, depending on what the day entails, of course. Then I get up at about 10 o'clock, and I start voicing for about an hour, and then I edit for about 2 hours. Whatever you voice, multiply times 2 for the editing. And then I do whatever the rest of my day entails. So working from your own home is just a huge advantage. It's less discriminate than acting. One thing I learned, I was a casting agent for a while, and the one thing I learned quite dominantly in film was it's a visual medium. It really does matter how you look. And it doesn't matter how you look in the sense you have to be pretty or hot or gorgeous or any of those things. What matters is you look right for the part, period. They will look at you first and say, it's your looks first, and then it's your maybe who you know second, and then it's your acting ability third. In voicing, it's really based on your talents, period. And are you the right voice quality for the job? That doesn't mean you weren't the most talented. Just like in film, you might lose an audition but never really know why, and you might have been the most talented person in the room. You can also, with voiceover, there's no age limit. There's no age discrimination. I have one 95-year-old student, and then 73, and then a little younger than that. So it's never too late to start, and every age is castable. And you know what? Whatever you sound like, that's your age. So you might sound like you're 10. Well, great, you're going to have lead roles. Those of you that have been teased for your voice and have a really awkward voice, and there's many of you out there, that can make you good money, having a voice that stands out, that's completely unique. And maybe it sounds much younger than you actually are. Well, bonus for you. Look at how many more years you have to voice. You can voice if you're 95 for a 2-year-old, as long as you can pull it off. Also, let's talk about ethnicities. You can be any background of ethnicity. Anything. It doesn't matter as long as you can pull off whatever they're hoping for. So if they want a dialect of English and you're from Afghanistan, well, great. You can do it as long as you can pull it off. Wherever you're from, it doesn't matter as long as you can pull that off. And on top of that, they need your language or your dialect in voiceover. I pretty much guarantee it. You'll have to find the research, though, to find out where and what that is. So if you look at voice acting compared to film, it's a much less discriminate industry, and anyone can make it, and it makes you feel so much better when you get the jobs, when you know it was just because of your talent, not because of what you look like. You can pick and choose your own jobs. One thing I love about sites like Voice 123, if I was with my agent's office and I didn't audition sometimes, I would lose work. They would stop bringing me in for things. You know, with sites like Voice 123, no one knows if I did an audition. And that's beautiful. Of course, they know when I audition, and I don't know if Voice 123 keeps track or anything like that, but I know they keep track of my leads that I get. So you are in a position where you can pick and choose your jobs, and that's a beautiful thing, because if you're too busy that day, you don't have to tell anyone. You just don't audition that day. That's all. Do what you love and make money. In case you can't hear it yet, I love what I do. I would do this for free in a heartbeat. I know I'm not supposed to admit that, but I love what I do. believe it or not, when I first started out, I did volunteer a lot of jobs, lots of jobs, but it gave me great exposure, and that started new things. There's a lot of instructors that are a little higher end than me that make a little more money than I do, perhaps, and they feel, you should start off knowing exactly what your rate is and go after it. I just think that there's a learning curve. I think you have to start at the beginning. Even your friends, your families, everyone you know is a marketable client. They all have an answering machine that need voiced. So find a way to do what you love and then make money on the side. The money will follow. Money will always follow when you love what you do. Impress the kids. Okay, here's what I want you to do. The next party or next function you're at, start doing character voices for the kids. You will have the entire audience swarming around you, and a lot of adults too, I might add. The one thing about our parents that they've done since childbirth is they've conditioned us to stop being kids at heart. That's the one thing I teach my students is to become kids at heart. You have to let go of your inhibitions and judgments, and as adults we start them. For you boys, even worse. Grow up. Stop acting like a kid. Tough it out, son. Tough it out, son. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to show emotion. Well, can we backtrack? Because really what they meant was grow up and pay the bills. Be mature and be responsible to your spouses and your families. They don't mean stop having fun. Now, when you see a child, they have fun. They just do what they want, and they do it in such an exciting way. It's a beautiful thing. Most of the top-end talent out there are complete kids at heart. They don't worry about judgments. They take risks like you wouldn't believe. Honestly, just watch the behind-the-scenes stuff. You'll see some of the things on movies and animations where they take huge risks to make complete jerks of themselves. In fact, we'd love it if you would, specifically more in animation, but the more risks you take, the better. So try reading stories to kids. Try becoming each of the characters in the book. If it's a narrative book, great. Be the narrator, be the witch, be the bear, be whatever the characters are, and literally become them. And if you're engaging the kids, you're doing it right. And if you're not engaging the kids, you better try again and really let go. The kids love it, absolutely love it. Try it at home. Get in touch with your inner child. So this is what I'm referring to. I know we've heard this cliche statement a lot, but it really is quite profound. You have to be okay to go really silly sometimes, and take risks, and just be okay to be silly. My first time meeting James Allberger and Penny Abshire, we were at a place in San Diego. We were at Costco, and they just started going off in voices, and I just joined right in, and I just thought, wow, I fit in. It's hard to find a lot of people who want to do voices and do crazy things. But at the same time, through Bob Bergen's advice, Bob Bergen is the voice of Porky Pig and Tweety, he says, know when to turn it off as well, because you can irritate people. So do keep that in mind. But get in touch with your inner child. Okay, so where do we start? Good golly, we're almost halfway through, and we're just beginning at the beginning. Well, one of the best things to do is set realistic goals for yourself and then attain them. Now, don't set unrealistic expectations, like you want to be making $20,000 by the end of this year. Well, you know what? If you're already established, maybe that's possible, no problem. And that doesn't sound like a lot to some of you, perhaps. Perhaps some of you it sounds like heaven. Excuse me. But you need to set realistic goals. In the first year, I had a few jobs. I would have been very smart to say in my first year my goal was to get my studio running. And that was a great goal. My next goal was to get more education. My next goal was to get one job by the end of that year. And I accomplished it and succeeded it. So at least if you set small goals for yourself, you have a much better option or a much better opportunity to attain them and then surpass them. So set very realistic goals for yourself and then attain to them. Take acting lessons, both theater and in film. But I'll tell you the most prominent, it would be film, because in film, we teach less is more. The more you feel it inside, the more realistic it is on the outside. So in theater, it's more expressive on the outside. It's more about the physicalities and what you do with your body and how you get it out there. We want a little combination. I find voiceover to be a combination of both theater and film, where more is more in theater and less is more in film. And it's a nice combination of the two, because you have to create a visual in your listeners. You have to get them to create a picture. In order for you to do that, you're going to have to act it out physically and mentally. So it's a lot of work. The other thing I'd recommend to you in a big way is improv classes. Now, we don't want you to go ahead and just redo the script, but we do want you to do what I call embellishing the characters. So making little quirks for them. For example, it's a teen, and maybe you're going to say like all the time, like, you know, like it was like totally like this. Improv classes will help you to know what to embellish with. So improv classes are great. And, of course, voicing workshops in schools. Bob Bergen, who also teaches, again, he's the voice of Porky Pig, he would like it if you take acting lessons before you ever come and see him. In my workshops, I teach you acting because it is my main background. So I do teach you a lot of acting to incorporate in what you're doing. But it is important to really understand acting before you get into a lot of these voiceover workshops. Dawes who? Research your craft. If I say Dawes Butler, a lot of you go, who? Which is sad. Because if I said Mel Blanc, you'd all know who I was referring to, I'm sure. Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny. Dawes Butler was what I consider the god of the industry. Dawes left a legacy behind, and if it wasn't for Dawes Butler, Nancy Cartwright, who's the voice of Bart Simpson, and Bob Bergen, the voice of Tweety and Porky Pig, they wouldn't have the skills, I believe, that they have now because Dawes left his legacy behind, and he taught us what he did. For those of you who don't know who Dawes is, Dawes Butler is all of Hanna-Barbera. Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound. I could just go on and on and on forever. Research them. Find out who these voicers are and what they're doing. Researching your craft is very important so that you know what you're doing and know how to compete in the market, and it's really good marketing for yourself. So have a look and do some research on Dawes Butler. You'll find amazing things. For you females, you want to study June Foray. June Foray was the voice of Granny on Looney Tunes, and she was amazing. She did tons and tons more stuff as well. So research your craft. Create a demo. Now here's the catch-22. I know most of you, especially if you're just starting out, want the demo now. I better get a demo so I can get the work. And it's that chicken and the egg theory. Should you have the demo so you can get the work, or should you get the work and then get the demo? Well, you can't really get the work without the demo, except because of sites like Voice 123, you can. That's the beautiful, that's what I just love so much about Voice 123 is I don't have to rush my students into demos, and I don't want to rush my students into demos. I'll tell you when you're ready to make a demo, when you don't have to ask, am I ready to make a demo? You will know if you're ready to make a demo, and you shouldn't make a demo unless you can pull off 100% of what's on it. I produce demos, and I can make you sound brilliant. If I have to, I'll get you to mimic every word I say. No, that doesn't mean I think I'm brilliant, but I know what I want to get out of you in this dialogue. So I can make you sound really good by piecing it all together. Now the producer gets it in his hands, and he says, oh, I love Samantha's second character. It was amazing. Okay, Samantha, we want you to do character number 2, please, for us. And then Samantha goes to start, and it takes her 50,000 takes. Well, you know what? There's a couple things that are going to go wrong with that. First of all, they're probably going to recast her. Secondly, they might even blacklist her and talk about her, and you don't want negative. It's a small community, and word travels fast. And as adults, we don't have a lot of chances at second chances. As teens, you've got lots of opportunity to make mistakes. So be ready for your demos and spend some money on them. Make sure you have a director who wants to direct you when you're voicing it. I don't just get someone who just makes a demo to be a great producer, because that's not a good demo. The demo should reflect, this is a very key important factor, guys, the demo should reflect your personality. It needs variety, yes, but it's not about hard sell, soft sell, medium sell, which I'll talk about in a minute. It's about personality. We have tons of voices. We don't need more voices. We need more personalities. So make sure that demo reflects it. If you have an opportunity today, go to my website at creatingvoices.ca and have a listen to my character demo and my broadcast demo. The other ones, they need some serious overhauling. But those two specifically, you should be able to hear my personality. And I spent big bucks on those ones. So be prepared to spend a lot of money on that demo, depending on where you are. Get an agent. Now, an agent isn't necessary because of sites like Voice 123 in the beginning. It may be something you will get later on, but if you have an agent and they represent voiceover, great. That's a great way to start marketing yourself or getting your agent out there. If you do have an agent, One thing I'd like to beg of you is stop relying on the agent for all of your work. Get out there and market yourself, especially in the world of voiceover. Now, you'll have to have a discussion with your agent. What are you allowed to do? What are you not allowed to do? What work are you allowed to take on without them, etc. And usually it's anything that's outside of your city. And when you're doing home studios, it is anything but outside your city. I voice all over the world, even though I'm based in Canada. I throw in the A's for you. We really don't say it as much as you think. Well, maybe some do. Anyway, get out there and start marketing yourself. With sites like Voice123, you don't need the agency. The Voice123's pretty much done it for you. But don't let that just be the only thing you do. Start researching. I pitch everybody. Any audition I go to in film, I bring in a demo with me, or I tell people I'm a voice talent. I go to an engineers conference, I tell everyone I'm a voice talent, and you would be shocked at how much work I get out of the most unsuspecting people. So start marketing. My Voice Biz book, which if you purchase my CD-ROM workshop at the end of today, I'm throwing it in for you for free. It talks about marketing and unions and demos and agents and equipment and all that other stuff, but you can get there's an entire section on marketing, and more so. There's so much on marketing. There's really good sites out there about marketing to learn from, too. Like Susan Berkeley is our marketing guru. She's also one of the top voice talents in the States. And she has also another team member, I think Dan O'Day. Research both of those two, and you'll get lots and lots of marketing information. Sign up for newsletters that offer free marketing. Keep practicing and educating. Practice, practice, practice. Voice and listen back. If you don't have a professional studio, that's fine. What about a computer sound recorder, like a computer mic? They're $1 at the dollar store nowadays. How about a digital recorder? Digital recorders are great, especially for creating new characters. You're on the bus, city bus, which is a great place to create characters, and you hear a voice you like, just press record and then start mimicking them. But keep practicing. Voice123, even if you don't have a studio and you can't audition for the things, the practice on it alone is worth it. Every type of script, narration, message on hold, commercial, animation, you name it, it's all on there. So keep practicing with those scripts and try and find a way to listen back, because you're not going to learn anything like you will when you listen back and educate yourself. I've talked to you about that already, but did you know that Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman, some of the finest actors of our time, Charlize Theron, I'm sure, is right up there as well, they take an acting course after every movie they do. This is why they're Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman. If you really study a lot of the high-end actors, they are consistently with private coaches learning more skill. So I hope you do the same for yourself. I take a class anytime I can. It's just that now I've saturated a lot of the classes that are here. So I have to go above and beyond Canada, which is good for me, and I get taught in the States. So although I am from Canada, I do teach you to a U.S. market, because in Canada we have to cater to a U.S. market. No matter where you're from, you should always cater to a Midwestern American accent. So you can look that up. If you go to a site called www.m-w.com, that's a Merriam-Webster's dictionary site. And what it'll do is if you have a problem with the pronunciation, you type in the word, and it'll voice it right back to you in a Midwestern American accent. So it's a great way to find out what that is. All right. Book the jobs and have fun. Most importantly, could you please have fun at this? Especially in animations, we have different forms of animation. One is called prelay, where you voice first and then they animate after you. And that's when all the actors are usually in the room at the same time. Can you imagine 10 overwhelmingly childlike personalities all in one room? Oh, now that's a party. So book the jobs and have fun. That's what the next step is. Start talking about what you do to everybody, and all of a sudden those jobs will come in. Even if you start with message on hold or someone's answering machine, even if it's your friend's answering machine, that's good marketing. Tell everybody where to listen in for it, and your friend will get a whole bunch of calls. So book the jobs. What do you need? Well, you need a few things in the wonderful world of voicing. You need education and great acting skills and some passion. That's the one thing I don't lack, is passion. I would do this blindfolded upside down anytime. I even have a portable studio, so when I go camping, which is one of my favorite pastimes to get away from the technological world, except I bring my laptop and my portable studio. A little bit desperate, perhaps, but I just love what I do. I can't help it. So be passionate about what you're doing. A means to a recording studio. Now, if you have a means to a recording studio, great, but most recording studios are anywhere from $75 to $150 and up per hour, depending on where you live. That can be pretty expensive for an audition. And in the beginning, believe it or not, that's what I did. In the beginning, I paid to audition. Literally, it cost me money to audition. And then sometimes when I get the jobs, they were really small-paying jobs in the beginning, it would almost cost me money to voice the job. Now, that doesn't seem very fair, does it? But when I figured out how to get my own studio together, I did. Now, at that time, my studio cost me about $6,000. You guys are in a position nowadays where for $600, and that's just throwing it out there, but for that little amount, you can have your own studio set up. Now, that would entail that you already have a good computer system, and monitor speakers would be something different, and I'm not going to get into all that, but there's lots of things you need to consider within your studio, but literally for that little amount, you can have your own business at home, and once you've purchased that studio setup, you now have write-off. So it can be a big bonus, but there's lots and lots of options. USB mixers, so in other words, they just plug straight into your computer, whereas before you had to route it and do all sorts of different things. So means to a recording studio, I would recommend you have your own so that you can do all these auditions for free. And if you can find one company willing to pay you $50 a month for whatever, a message on hold or something, well, you just paid for your visa payment. So find a way to figure that out. Okay, a great demo, as we've discussed already. You need to have a really good demo. Go to Voice123 and start listening to all the demos that are on there. Listen to the ones that you like and the ones that you don't like. The ones that you don't like, mark down why. Why don't you like it, and make sure you don't do it on your own. There's other sites out there to listen to demos. Make sure you're having a listen to as many demos as you can when you're ready for the demo market so that you're competing against the right market. There's different levels to voicing. So if you create an amateur demo, you're only going to go against amateur talent. So the more you put in, the more you'll get out. Make sure it's a good demo and you can pull it off. Web presence. You need to have a way to be on the web. It's just the way of the future anyway, and if you sign up to a server for your emails, you get a few megs of space for free as a website anyway, so you can build your own. What you want mostly on your web presence is a place to put your demo, a way to contact you, and just some general information. Again, I'm going to tell you the same thing about your website, about your demo. Make sure your personality shines through. And again, we talked about the agent a bit. The agent, when you're ready for the agent, go for it. In the meantime, with sites like Voice123, you just don't need one. Many reads. You've got to have different reads available, and we're going to go through that in the next one, so I won't go into that too much yet. Many characters. You've got to have a lot of variety of characters, different ones to draw from. Does that mean you have to be really good at a million voices? No. But you have to really know, even if you only do one character, you have to know that character so well, just as well as you know yourself. Know what it eats for breakfast. Know when it goes to the washroom. Know everything about it. You have to have many ideas. Add and embellish your characters, and perhaps on commercial copy and things like that. You can't really change a lot, but maybe you can add little life sounds and human qualities like ums and ahs and stutters and pauses that add ideas to the copy. In animation specifically, they want really creative people that offer ideas and suggestions to the animations. Versatility. You've got to be quite versatile. You've got to be willing to flex. If I need you to try this upside down, okay, well, not to that degree, but I need you to be very flexible. I need you to have a lot of variety within you and be able to take on direction quite easily and listen very well. Take a chance and put yourself out there. Okay, you heard that. I don't know if you know what it sounded like, but I was snorting while I laughed. Now, that was a little bit of a put-on one, but don't be afraid to lose control. In fact, the more you lose control in your reads, the better they're going to become. Now, that doesn't mean go crazy and go loud and go crazy. It just means take a chance, and if you feel like, laughing in that moment, just go for it. Take a serious chance and put yourself out there. Be allowed to look stupid. In fact, that's what we do. Sometimes you will take a big risk, and they will consider it absolute gold, and you might never be able to pull it off twice. Sometimes you'll take a risk, and it won't work so good, and that's okay. At least they saw you took a risk, and they will want you back just because of it. So take a chance and really put yourself out there. And you men are better at that than us women, by the way. I think it's because you guys all fart and snort in public and just don't care, whereas us women are a little more inhibited. We worry about what we look like. Girls, get over it. Take risks. Looking stupid's okay. Okay, dedication. You really got to want this. Stay dedicated to it, guys. I've stayed dedicated to it and always will, and now I can say I'm full-time. Determination, same thing. Be really determined. Never take no for an answer. Take it as not right now and pitch them again later on. Give them a break, but pitch them again later on. No just means not right now. Passion. Passion, passion, passion. Organization. Don't get like I got and lose control after a while. If you are good, things will start taking over and you'll lose control. So stay organized with your invoicing, with clients that you've pitched, clients that you need to keep updated with, things like that. So stay organized. And business skills. You need to have some really good business skills. This is a business. You have to understand your product, your everything about your business. And you have to be good in sales. So what are the types of work available? Everything that has a voice is another opportunity. Normally at this point I would ask you guys to tell me, but I know you're not in that position, so I'm just going to list off a few things for you. Animations. How about talking toys? PC video games. Those are becoming so popular in almost every center. Commercials. They harness a big majority of the industry. Documentaries are very popular right now, and for film industries, they're granting funding for documentaries like crazy, so there's lots available there. Message on hold, when you're put on hold and you hear some voice advertisements. Station IDs or radio stations, 97.3 K-Rock, things like that. Industrials, so training videos and things like that. Voice prompting, press 1. Press 2. Yeah, I know you want to hang up on her, but that pays the bills. Flash presentations, you guys are familiar with Flash. Business presentations, similar to that, and websites. Think of this. There isn't a voice attached to every website yet. They're just starting to get into music and video stream. Pitch every single website. Tell them they need a voice. You'll find work. No matter what type of work, every script has a character in it. I hope you guys aren't seeing this screen sharing file, but I think you are. It's imperative that you connect with who that is. Every script, no matter what it is, even a commercial, even a hard sell commercial, let's say it's for a Ford dealership. Well, maybe the client, the person who's, sorry, not the client, but the actual character in the copy who's saying what they're saying, they're yelling at you to come buy a car. Well, who would yell at you to buy a car? Maybe the sales guy who's in trouble. Maybe he didn't meet his quota for the day. Find the character, and you will find the best hard sell read. It won't sound artificial. You'll sound like you're coming from something, and that's the key. You want to sound like you're coming from something every single time. Various reads you need to learn. Conversational. Well, this is kind of like what I'm doing now. I add a little bit of human quality and go a little crazy sometimes, and I just want to tell you about this great ad we have. We have this and this and this. It's just very conversational, and that is the most popular right now, and that's the one you want to work on. And you want to combine these cells as well. You don't need to, or these reads, you don't need to just be conversational. Maybe it's mixed hard sell with conversational. Hard sell coming right at you. Buy, buy, buy. They just want to really push you into buying. A medium sell, this is what I do very commonly. It's just very medium. We'd like you to come to, it's very professional still, so it sounds professional. Debbie Bergeron has the gift for you this Christmas, a refreshing CD packed with original country Christmas songs. Now, that'd be medium because you still got that broadcasty sound in you, and it doesn't sound like you're having a conversation. Soft sell, by the way, with hard sell, women take on hard sells. It's something they don't hear often, and you can do this. Just think heavy metal or something really rough, or rough woman or something to that degree. Soft sell, men, you should be trying soft sell. Again, think romantic. Think a girl's way. And you can do it. You've had girls tell you how to be there. So soft sell is great. Women harness this market, obviously, but it's very soft. Debbie Bergeron has the gift for you this Christmas. So just a nice soft read. Sultry, one of my favorites. To do sultry, you've got to feel sexy. So girls, if you're inhibited to feel sultry, it might be hard, but this is your chance to play. Get in the booth and play. Don't worry about it. For me, I have to get into a sexy position, so I'll read the same script again. Debbie Bergeron has the gift for you this Christmas. So there's a sultry read. Guys, try the sultry read. Think of being suave, cool, and picking up the hottest woman around. Sultry works really well for men, believe it or not. Flat reads, this is where you're just kind of throwing it away. Debbie Bergeron has the gift for you this Christmas, a refreshing CD packed with original country Christmas songs. Believe it or not, that's a very successful read. less is more. That's kind of almost a film read, just lacking a little bit of patterns or rhythm to it. Monotone, we hate this read, but for prompting, press 1, press 2, press 3. It all has to be the exact same tone. Not an easy read to do, actually. Straight reads, just tell them like it is. Debbie Bergeron has the gift for you this Christmas, a refreshing CD packed with, so it's got a little more flair than the flat read, and it's not as conversational as conversational. It's kind of an in-between. High energy or energetic read, this is what I get a whole bunch. You've got to read it really fast usually, and it's too much copy and too short of a time. Just keep your energy level high, and in this industry you should have high energy. Narration or narrative read, it'd be similar to doing a documentary in the sense you're telling a story. Debbie Bergeron has the gift for you this Christmas, a refreshing CD packed with original cards. So you're telling a story. You're finding a way to tell that story. And, of course, character reads. Character reads are all over the place. You have, excuse me, you have your character reads such as the wife next door, husband next door, girl who's upbeat, late 20s, that kind of thing are your character reads in commercial. And then, of course, you've got your animation type as well. Now, pay scale and voice work is all over the map. I'm not even going to go there. Rates are everywhere. You have to decide what you think is the best rate for the job, and that's just a whole learning curve in its own, so I'm not going to touch that too much. When you're union, it covers you, but when you're not, you're on your own there. So who is your character? Find the answers by uncovering who you are in the script. There's clues within the script that tell you who you are. Who are you as a speaker? Define your character in as much detail as you can. There's James Alberger has the most excellent sheet, and he's given me permission to use it in my workshops as well, and it's a character resource sheet. And you talk about how they stand and the placement where their voice is and where you got the idea from and their catchphrase. If I said to you, what's Bugs Bunny's catchphrase? I'm sure you all just said it. What's up, Doc? Things like that. And no, it's not. That's all, folks. That's Porky. Bob would be so disappointed. So that catchphrase helps you get into Bugs' voice every time. So define your character in as much detail as possible. And don't just assume. Ask questions. If you have the client there to ask questions about your characters, do so. But base your best guess on as much valid information as you can. So look within the script. There's clues. You can just look at one word and start developing a character through it, believe it or not. So here's what I want you to answer. Who are you as the character? And who are you talking to? Remember this sentence. Acting is reacting. What are you reacting to in the scene? Every scene you're reacting to something. Every single scene, every sentence you're reacting to something. So who are you talking to? Really know them. And remember your audience, as James said as well, is only ever one person. Even when you address a group, whoever you're looking at that moment is the one person you're addressing in that moment. What is your backstory? What happened right before the first words of dialogue to make you say what you're saying? So what's going on to make that happen? You need to know the backstory, and that means you probably have to make it up. Why are you saying what you're saying? What's your purpose? Are you trying to draw more sales? Are you trying to pick up that fine woman? Are you trying to tell a story? What's your purpose? There's a lot of purpose within your copies. You've got to decide what that is within what the dialogue says. Where are you in each scene? You'll play the scene differently if you're in a loud, crowded room or if you're in an intimate setting. You need to know what's going on in your scene so you can react to things. And although we might not see them, we'll hear it. Each character or script is another personality. Truly become that personality. Now, I've given you this in 5 minutes flat, but there is so much more to discovering who your character is than that. So I do hope you take the workshops, either the teleseminar or the my online workshop or doing the CD-ROM so you can really get to know about character development. Character development is very, very important. Now, creating broadcast characters is quite similar. But it's not that, like when you're discovering characters for animation, there are different types. There are the over-the-top crazy characters like chipmunks. Hi, I'm a little chipmunk. There's those kind of characters. And then there's just, the villainesses. Well, Otis, I thought you'd be there for me. Things like that are villainesses or villains and things that are more realistic. Now, with broadcast characters, so in other words, commercials and things like that, it'll say something like girl next door, friendly, upbeat, late 20s. Maybe for the guy, it'll say guy next door, friendly, upbeat, late 20s. Now, everyone will interpret this differently. This is why we get 20 different auditions, which is great. So the script might read, I was having coffee with Beth or Joe when the phone rang, and it's Sue or Frank. She's yelling into the phone, oh, JCPenney, your Rock Lumber's having a half-off sale, want to go. So I'm thinking, are you out of your mind? see you in 5. Now, you can really get to know the character here. Is she nosy? You know, what kind of personality is she? So there's so many options to interpret the script and the character. It's up to you what you do with it. Your interpretation completely changes the read. And, of course, there is no wrong way. Your job is just to see what you see and go with it. And the client might like it and might not, and that's okay as long as you took the risks to get involved. Any pauses or squeaky noises of excitement or sarcastic tones or emphasis on certain words are completely up to you, and you can play with that lots. So let me read it to you as if it was a great read, okay? Well, let's hope so. Okay, so I use what I call lead-in line, so I give something to get me into the copy first. Okay, so I was having coffee with Beth when the phone rang. It was Sue. She's yelling into the phone, "J.C. Penney's having a half-hour sale. Want to go?" So I'm thinking, are you out of your mind? Oh, see you in 5. Now, character developed, yes, but a good read, and it sounds somewhat legitimate anyway, to be the nosy neighbor for sure. So the best technique, guys, is to record yourself, no matter what. Now, I have cassette written on here. What a silly girl I am. Use any medium available. If you do have the cassette recorders, that's fine. Use them. They're great. Computer microphones are some of the best and cheapest way to do that. So use whatever medium you have to be able to record yourself and listen back. If you're a PC user, you just go into your start menu and then to programs and accessories and then entertainment, and there's something called a sound recorder, so you can just start recording immediately. There's also programs like Audacity SoundForge, and that program in itself will give you a free mixer, so a free software to actually edit voice work. Listen for human qualities and believability. This is a human quality. What I just did was I paused after the first word. Believe it or not, take out the punctuation and add your own. Don't be afraid to stutter and and ah and use what we call life sounds. That is human nature, and that is what makes a conversational read. Through education and experience, learn how to direct your voice, and that's not easy when you're your own business and you're the one directing yourself all the time. You have to remove yourself from the situation, listen back, take a break from it, maybe come back, listen again. But you've got to be good at directing your voice at the moment and know when it's not working as to when to change it up. Learn to be comfortable with what you hear. I don't know how many of you have heard your own voice played back before, but most people don't like what they hear. You're going to have to find a way to get comfortable with it because that's what it is. When you hit it right, there's no questioning it. Give yourself a pat on the back. When you do something right and you feel it, please don't be afraid to credit yourself and know to go back to it because it worked. If you can compliment yourself, you did a pretty good job, guaranteed. Learn to carry on with the read no matter what the situation. You guys have to be very focused when you're in those rooms, so stay with it. So just some final words of wisdom, and we'll open up some questions here. This can be a tough business. You may never make it. Nice girl, hey? You have to understand this is a business. This is an industry just like any other, and it's competitive, and there's a lot of people doing it, a lot of people wanting it, but it really just depends on how bad you want it. Do you know there was an actual survey done, and there's over 1 billion commercials aired every day, over 1 billion. James Earl Jones cannot voice every one of those as much as I'd love him to. So thank goodness, because that makes so much more work. Now, that doesn't get into all the other genres of work I told you that are out there. So just be persistent and stay with it. But do recognize it could not work, so be okay with that too. Don't set time limits on yourself or unrealistic expectations. Set goals and accomplish them, but make sure they're realistic. The process of learning, growing, improving, and auditioning and creating should be your primary focus, not becoming rich and famous, as I've discussed already. Enjoy auditioning, as I guarantee you, you're going to audition more than you'll ever work. To be quite honest, auditioning is the work. The work is actually the gravy and the bonuses in the end. Clarity and staying power are essential for long sessions, so make sure you're there and can handle it, especially in animation or narration. Have faith in yourself. It's just the world testing to see if you really want it. So if they're being skeptics, they're just testing you, so prove them right, okay? Watch cartoons and talk back to the screen in character voices. One thing on that, make sure you do it where you're comfortable. You don't want to be doing that at home when your brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, wives, and spouses will tease the living daylights out of you, so make sure you're doing it at a comfortable place. Develop new voices, though. Don't just mimic what you hear. Mimic it and change it. Make it new. Make odd noises between takes. Believe it or not, it could land you another role. So practice your witch voice between takes or something if you're that skilled to be able to go between characters like that. Be an interesting person full of life and curiosity. They like good people. Always ask questions and never, never, never stop learning. So prepare and never give up. You have to have a tenacious attitude. It will get you there. So in summary, study long and hard, learn to act, make a short but brilliant demo, get an agent, or 123 would be great, voice 123, audition again, study some more. Oh, crap, audition some more. Okay, and then the work might come. You just may be the next Bart Simpson or Yogi Bear. Now that you have all this information, there's only one more thing to do before you perform. Stop thinking about it. Forget it. Just let it be. What you want to do is do all the homework on the characters and the scripts and everything else, but then when you get to that mic, you need to let it all go, and whatever comes out, just let it happen. Get out of your own way. Just do it. All right. I guess that brings me to the end of our little webinar. I have so much more I'd love to teach you, but for now we'll stick with that and open up the questions.
Well, thank you very much, Debbie. Let's get started with the first question. I have a question here. How did you actually get started in the business?
Great question. Actually, I began I wanted to be an actor my whole life. I watched TV so much, all I wanted to do was be on it. And I became a very young mom. I became a mom at the age of 16 and realized I had to get what I considered a real job and pay the bills. And my mom saw a broadcasting course, which was actually the Quickie course at the time. And I thought, well, hey, that sounds like fun. So I took a broadcasting course, and that kind of got me into the world of voice. But I will tell you, ironically, that broadcasting course hurt me a little bit in animation because I was reading everything as a disc jockey. Everything was in this really sing-song pattern. Caroline told you about my one international claim to fame, roving reporter Carla Carumba. Well, she was a reporter, so she was easy for me to do. But I found after the first 6 months of voicing her, every other character I did all had this sing-song rhythm. But no one told me that. I had to learn that on my own, and that's actually why I started teaching, because I was sick of people not being honest with me about what I was doing wrong so that I could improve. As an actor, I hate to admit this, but actors are very insecure souls, and we're always looking for that reassurance. And so I was looking for that reassurance, and I had to find it myself, which I'm so blessed that I did, because I wouldn't be teaching, first of all, if it wasn't for that. And I just set out that I would be honest with everyone. That doesn't mean I'm always right, but I'm going to be honest about where I think your development is, I think you can work on, and things like that. So that kind of pursued me into further aspects of voiceover. And then as soon as I was able to afford my own studio or find means to my own studio, I bought my own studio, and that was about 6 years ago, and it's just skyrocketed since then.
Wow, thank you. Another one here I have from Seth. He says, do you think that radio or online audio theater is still a viable voice acting industry?
Oh, Seth, great question. You know why I think this is a great question? I am very blessed to say that I've accomplished almost every single goal I've ever set out to do, and that's a big statement. I'm only 37, and I'm so blessed to be able to say that. The one goal I ever had was a talk show host. And technically, I'm actually doing talk shows on a podcast. So podcasts are becoming huge because of things like the MP3 players and the iPods. So what's happening now is we're finding a new birth in radio drama. So not just radio plays, but they're actually going on satellite radio and things like that. So there's actually going to be a very big industry, and that is my prediction. I think it's already started. I think there's lots of room in it, and most of us voice talent absolutely love the old radio plays. There's a station in Canada, I don't know about there, but there's a station in Canada that's Canadian-wide, and it's CBC, and they do radio plays all the time. So, do some research on that and find out what might be current in your community. And/or I recommend this, guys, big time. Get a bunch of voicers together and create your own. You would be shocked, and go to market it. You would be shocked at how you might be able to sell that.
Okay. Another question here from Todd Belcher. He says, I have talent reps in several markets the size of Atlanta and smaller. I've been doing auditions from them for over a year and have not landed any jobs, even though the reps seem to like my auditions. Do I have much of a chance with reps in markets this size?
Well, first of all, I'm thinking, Todd, maybe we should be looking at why you're not getting the auditions first. Personally, if you were coming to see me privately, I would actually just have you read some stuff and let's really nail down why you're not getting them, because in the voiceover industry, it isn't based on looks, and so you're not losing jobs because of silly things. Usually it's just something that you're missing. Or now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you're just failing the auditions by any means. But I think you should, if you're not niching this market yet, I don't think you should move on until we figure out what it is we have to change or to adjust or just to enhance. It could be that you're reading everything too, disc jockey. It could be that you're going too casual. There's lots of different variety there. Would I encourage you not to get a rep in another community because of that? No, not necessarily. I think if you can get someone to represent you, first of all, you're doing great because obviously there's something they like about you. Getting an agent isn't an easy thing. So if you're getting accepted by agencies, you're obviously doing some great things. I would suggest maybe some private coaching to find out what it is that's going on. I'm not sure if that's the answer you're looking for, Todd, but that would be my suggestion.
Okay, thank you. Another one here from Brett Quinty. As a beginner, is it fair to say we should try to take on as many varieties of roles as possible?
Another great question. As a beginner, I would say no. As a beginner, in your research, learn everything about every industry for sure. But I'd rather see you guys focus on one industry at a time. In the beginning, most of you want animation, which is great, but that's not necessarily the best place to start. Most animation houses in LA won't even see you unless you have a commercial demo. So commercials is one of the best places to start if it's an interest to you, but there's the most amount of work. You can get a lot more work in commercials, and you can make a better name for yourself a lot quicker than in the other industries. Narration is a specific person, so if you want to start in narration, that's fine, but just try one genre at a time. What I did was I started on commercial and message on hold, and then I went into animation from there. I lucked into animation, to be quite honest, but once I learned it, then I started really studying animation as a separate entity. Now I'm just starting to study narration and station IDs and things like that. So even myself, after 6 years, I'm just starting to study the other areas. I do voice in each of the areas by what the auditions that I put through, but I haven't studied them as much as I'd like to yet still. So just take on one area at a time. That is definitely strong advice on that one.
Okay, thank you. A question here from Larry Maislish. He says, hello, Debbie. I'm interested in serious voiceover training. I'm looking for training in voiceover areas not including animation. How do I determine the difference between an average coach and a coach who can offer me serious training and hope of obtaining connections in the industry for the future?
Well, sounds like you're describing me. I'm just kidding. Well, Larry, what I would suggest is, now, I do teach character work, and I do talk about animation in my workshops. But even if you don't want to get into animation, it's very valid information because what we're really teaching you isn't about cartoon voicing. It's about character development. Character development is extremely important, even in narration. In narration, there's the Lord of the Rings type narrator who's the mystic and Stod. That's a character. There are characters in every single copy you do. Now, as far as deciding what's a good coach and what isn't, well, do some research on them first of all. Google them, ask other students ask them for student references, and ask the students. Like, I give out student references all the time. In fact, I can give out thousands of them, and they are very successful, and the students aren't going to lie. They're going to tell you exactly what they thought of it. Now, will the teachers give you their favorite students? Well, perhaps, I suppose. But ask for more. Don't just take the one or two names that they give you. Ask for more names or start doing some research on them. I will tell you, myself, James Allberger, Pat Fraley, Susan Berkeley, Susan Blue. Susan Blue's more animation. Bob Bergen's more animation. Connie Terwilliger. I'm not sure if Hilary Swank is teaching. I think so. Anyway, those are really top-end voice instructors. There are really a handful of us that are quite seriously doing this, and that I feel anyway are good. I've taken a lot of courses here and have been very disappointed in some, and then grateful for others. One thing I will tell you, though, is even a bad course will tell you what a good course is. But with the Internet, there's a lot of research that you're able to do. And, of course, I'm more than happy to take you on, and maybe perhaps you want more private coaching or, online coaching, or maybe to do the CD-ROM book that will be for sale here at the end, where you could do it at your own pace as well and learn that information on your own time. So if you want to know more specific coaches or want some more information that way, you guys, any one of you, by all means, email me at any time, info@debsvoice.com. But you can go onto my Creating Voices site, and you'll find information on me and how to contact me there. And I'm happy to give you a lot more information than I already have in regards to the questions.
Great, thank you. A question here from Mike Southern. He says, what is the best way to learn editing skills?
Good question. Yeah, now editing is a whole other ballgame, isn't it? It's quite sad because I do teach an editing course, but it's live. It's a hands-on. What I'm trying to do with each of the centers I teach in, all the cities that I teach in, I'm trying to gather up one engineer in each of them to teach a course because there is a lot of learning curve. Here's what I recommend, though, when you don't have that means. Download Audacity SoundForge. Just Google it and you'll find it. Or you can go onto my site or James's site and I think link up to it. James Alberger's site, by the way, is voiceacting.com. Bob Bergen's site is bobbergen.com. Audacity is a program that you can learn basic editing on, and it's a free program. You legally own it, and just get in there. That's all I did. I had no one teach me editing, nobody. I used a program called Saw Plus, which is a very nice, simple program. The program I'd recommend to you guys is Adobe Audition. There's also Pro Tools, which is the most complicated, but Adobe Audition is nice because it's semi-complicated, but if you're going to do a learning curve, you might as well learn hard first instead of easy first. However, Adobe Audition is free, so Audacity SoundForge is free, so I would download that first and just begin. If you have questions while you're trying to learn, email me. I'll be more than happy to help you if I can. Otherwise, I would just literally go to some of the radio stations and talk to some of the engineers. Hey, are you interested in teaching me? I'll pay you whatever I can and, work on that.
Okay. I've got a question here from John Small. He says, can people in Nowheresville get some character voice work from here, or do they need to go to L.A.?
Oh, do you know what? This is where Voice 123 comes in. Animation is very specific to the studios, yes. It is very hard. I have just moved to Vancouver, Canada, where the animation is, and I did so in the animation studio where I was living, and that's just not enough for me to get more exposure. So I've moved to where the animations are, but I'll tell you, I did not move until I was ready. I took all my training in the smaller centers because the training was cheaper. I got better education actually than the bigger centers, believe it or not, and now I'm ready to take on a bigger center of animation and that kind of thing. Again, voices or sites like Voice 123 have animation scripts, like there's actual characters. Usually a lot of them are student films or things like that, but they're still paying, and and it's still character work, so you are in a position you could do it. I do one animation series from my home studio, and that's it. Once I grow a little further, I will be able to do it via my home studio, but I will have to have what's called an ISDN line. And the ISDN line means that I can record in my studio, but New York can record me in theirs, even though I'm actually voicing in mine. So that will eventually change, but right now, yes, it's more specific to the centers. But there's more than just LA, of course. It has the animation houses in the States. There's a lot more, so do some research in that area. In the meantime, again, Voice 123 is a great place to start with that animation. There's also, if you research anime fan dub sites, so anime and then fan dub sites, D-U-B, and you will find amateur dub sites where you actually can go in and dub or voice over top of cartoons and literally become their voice, but it's not paid, so just be aware of that. But it's good for research and practice.
Okay, thank you. I have a question here from Jake Worth. He asks, are there voice workshops that run on the Internet with conference phone conferences? Conference call phone conferences, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, just repeat that question again, just so I answer it properly.
Are there voice workshops that run on the Internet with conference call phone conferences?
Well, what a great question. Thank you. Actually, mine is. Myself, I have just launching my online seminar, or sorry, not seminar, my online workshop on January 9th through February 13th. It'll be every Tuesday evening from 6 to 10 Eastern Time. So that'll be 4 hours. It works out to more hours, actually, than my weekend workshop and live time. What you will get out of that is interaction. We will have interaction online. I still only take a small handful of students because I believe in mic time. Mic time is very important, and I will record all your sessions on my system, and then you will have them to listen back to. It's almost like taking my course in an extensive level, which is a better way to take the course because it's over gradual periods of time and you have time to absorb the information. One thing I do promise you about my courses is I give you way too much information in way too short of a time. But I do it so that after one workshop you'll know if you want to pursue this full-time or not, and you'll know how much money you want to invest, and you'll know what the work is and dispel all myths. So the online course is just a really great way to be able to take it even though you're not in my center and be able to get the course that way. So yes, there are. Also, James Allberger has a telecourse as well, teleseminar I believe he calls it, and that's an 8-week workshop as well. So there's those two. I don't know, and I haven't researched the other ones yet. Those are the only two I know of so far. And you, by all means, just email me or contact me to register for that one.
Okay, thank you. And a question from Michael Turnbull. He asks, because of the worldwide nature of the business, some people are preaching to develop a signature voice that you'll focus on. So what do you think of that versus versatility?
Okay. I believe you start one character at a time or one voice at a time as opposed to, have lots right in the beginning. So thank you for kind of clarifying that. Now, signature voice is an interesting choice of words for them because you have your signature voice, to be quite honest, is you. That's what you have that makes you unique from me and from John and from Joe and from Jack. That's what makes you unique is yourself. So you need to find a way to bring yourself into your copies, and that's your signature voice. Everything else beyond that becomes character development. I would only go one character at a time. I wouldn't overwhelm myself. But in that light, I do have in my first workshop, I have you become 6 different characters in one script. They're all aging through time, going youngest to oldest and that kind of thing. And that's a lot of work, but I don't think that you should have them secured. When we do character research, it's not just done in 5 minutes flat. It's done over a gradual time because we start changing and embellishing what we originally thought of, or, they're always a work in progress. So it would always start with one being your own, then it would work to the next levels and the next levels, and then just keep building yourself up that way, and then the versatility comes into play. Great question.
Okay, great. I have a question here from Renee George. Any tips for a singer who's looking to get into the voice business?
Well, certainly, Renee. One thing that I would recommend to singers is, first of all, you're nice and in touch with your diaphragm, which is great because you know how to breathe right, which helps you a lot. I'll tell you the one thing I learned about singing is no one's ever accused me of being a good singer, so therefore I'm not a singer. However, people accuse me of having a good voice. I did learn one time I didn't have my exercises, and one of the casting agents here says if you don't exercise, she doesn't hire you, and she knows when you exercise with your voice or not. So I didn't have my exercises with me, so I sang at the top of my lungs, not just loud, but I actually felt the song and connected to the song. And I really learned how to sing that day. It's about that connection. So what you do, Renee, is amazing to me because you really connect. And if you listen to a singer, guys, you never hear them the same. It's never the same rhythm. It's always all over the place. They go really high and right down low. Now, what can you do with singing? How about jingles? Jingles are awesome, and clients love them. It's just not a lot of people pitch them. They're a little more expensive to purchase, but then they get to own a signature sound, and that's great for the client. So, Renee, get really good in marketing that. And if you sing solo, great. If you sing with a group, even better. And start putting together mock-up jingles for companies and pitch them with that mock-up jingle.
Okay, thank you. I have a question here from Maxine Dunn. She asks, how do you stay motivated if things get slow, or if you go on a bunch of auditions and don't book any jobs? If that doesn't happen now, how did you stay motivated in slow times in the beginning?
Nice tagline, Maxine. If it doesn't happen now, thank you. Actually, it's true. It doesn't happen anymore. I'm very blessed now. I get a lot of auditions that I audition for. I'm so blessed. But in the beginning, no, it's exactly right. 6 months into it, I got nothing. Like until about 6 months into it, and this is auditioning, you know. Well, at that time, I don't think there was as many auditions as there is now, but there was probably about, you know, good 13 to 15 auditions a day, and I was auditioning every single one of them. Was I discouraged in the beginning? You know, I guess for me, I love it so much, I've never been discouraged. I'll tell you, the only downfall I have to my industry so far is software. Software conflicts, like for me being late on the seminar today, all because of software. Just software. You recorded something and the software never recorded it, or, you know, things like that. So that's kind of when I get down. I think the trick is, for me at least, I love it. Like, I love it so much that I'm okay with it. However, I was in a position where I had a husband at the time who was, you know, kind of helping me along the way, so I was in a position of affording to miss them. But when you guys start, you should be working some kind of full-time job that's supplementing your income. And the wonderful thing about voiceovers, you can do it at 2 a.m., you can do it in the afternoon, you can, whenever you have the time to do it, you can do it, because they don't when you're actually doing it or not doing it. You have to hang on and realize self-worth. If you feel you're worth it, it will happen. I'll tell you a really quick, interesting story. Bob Bergen was at a comedy festival in L.A. at some point, and there was a great comedian, this is many years ago, there was a great comedian on the stage. He looked at the comedian agent, and he said, are you going to represent him? And the agent said, I already am. Oh, okay. Well, you know, the thing is, he gets every audition he ever auditions. Oh, wow, lucky him. And he goes, yeah, except he won't take any of the jobs. And he's like, well, what do you mean he won't take the jobs? He wants $100,000 for any job he takes, whether it's a 10-second commercial, a feature film, doesn't matter. He wants $100,000. So he's not getting any of the jobs. So Bob Bergen says, well, what's his name? And his name was Jim Carrey. Know what you're worth, guys. Go after it, and don't let anyone step on that, anyone, because you might not get anything in the beginning, but if you hang on like we did, you will get there. It's those that hang it out for the long run that ever succeed. Think of the lawyers who went to law school. Can you imagine the schooling that they went through? They would have had to go through, like, imagine our kids nowadays going to school, working, and going to university at the same time. They are working 20-hour days in school and otherwise. They have to really want it bad, don't they? So I recommend the same thing. Just really take them all. One of my favorite quotes is, it's just the world testing to see if you really want it. So when you're not getting those inevitable setbacks, you're going to get them. I promise you. I got them. I promise you. Every great actor got them. And the one thing we never see in the great actors of our time is the struggle. How did they struggle to get where they're at? What we see is overnight successes, and I promise you they don't happen like that. It takes a lot of work. It takes from you wanting it from the beginning to the very end. So just stick with it. Have faith. Email me and say, oh, my gosh, Debbie, I'm not getting anything. Help me. Talk to me. And we'll try and walk you through it as best we can.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. I've got one last question for you, and then the rest of the questions, if the attendees could submit them on the VoiceOver Savvy forum, voiceoversavvy.com forum. The last question for you, Debbie, is from Marty Vale, and she says, where do you teach? If online, how does one register, and is it a one-on-one guidance?
Excuse me. Yes, I actually teach across Canada. I teach a little bit in the States. I'm willing to teach wherever anyone wants to bring me in for the most part, but I'm really trying to go with the online series because I'm finding myself with 0 weekends available anymore. I'm teaching a little too much, I've been told. Primarily I teach in Vancouver. That would be our main center for Canada to come take my courses here. Otherwise, the online, you can register on my site. There is a registration form. You just go to the workshops page. Let me warn you all, I have to get my updates sent on my website, so I apologize. You won't realize what's not updated, but some of the dates are a little off right there, and I don't have my CD-ROM launched on there where it is launching right now. We are selling that through Voice 123 right now, as well as my online course, which starts January 9th to February 13th. So you can register online. I have a form that you can also sign up to my newsletters, guys. Sign up. There's lots of opportunity on there, tips and tricks and what other professionals say, workshops that are coming up, workshops I'd recommend, and that kind of thing. So just go ahead and sign up there and or email me, and we'll get you hooked up.
Great. Thank you. Well, I first of all like to personally thank Debbie for all of her valuable insight, and to all of you for attending. Please make sure to look out for the follow-up email that we'll be sending out to you with all of the information that you need to get in touch with Debbie and to purchase the special promotional package that we have available for webinar attendees. We appreciate all of your support, and we look forward to continue bringing you the best in the best of the voiceover industry. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Caroline, as well. We really appreciate what you guys have done for us, and it's a great service, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Take care, everybody. Keep voicing and stay happy, okay?
Goodbye.